You start.
I don't get a chance very often to read in the States. They're just not patient enough or something. And so when they told me I needed to pick maybe 10 minutes to read, I had to think, what section did I want to do? And when I was touring for New Moon, or I don't know what it is here, BIS something. I never get to the second part. One of the things people ask me all the time, because the Cullens aren't as there in that novel, and I said, well, when are we going to find out about Rosalie? When are we going to find out about Jasper? And I knew, of course, those stories were already written in Eclipse, and I was excited that people were waiting for them. So I decided to do Rosalie's story because it was really one of my favorite parts to write. So here's Rosalie's story. Would you like to hear my story, Bella? It doesn't have a happy ending, but which of ours does? If we had happy endings, we'd all be under gravestones now. I nodded, though I was frightened by the edge in her voice. I lived in a different world than you do, Bella. My human world was a much simpler place. It was 1933, I was 18, and I was beautiful. My life was perfect. She stared out the window at the silver clouds, her expression far away. My parents were thoroughly middle class. My father had a stable job in a bank, something I realize now that he was smug about. He saw his prosperity as a reward for talent and hard work, rather than acknowledging the luck involved. I took it all for granted then. In my home, it was as if the Great Depression was only a troublesome rumor. Of course, I saw the poor people, the ones who weren't as lucky. My father left me with the impression that they brought their troubles on themselves. It was my mother's job to keep our house and myself and my two younger brothers in spotless order. It was clear that I was both her first priority and her favorite. I didn't fully understand at the time, but I was always vaguely aware that my parents weren't satisfied with what they had, even if it was so much more than most. They wanted more. They had social aspirations, social clamors, I suppose you could call them. My beauty was like a gift to them. They saw so much more potential in it than I did. They weren't satisfied, but I was. I was thrilled to be me, to be Rosalie Hale, pleased that men's eyes watched me everywhere I went, from the year I turned 12, delighted that my girlfriends sighed with envy when they touched my hair, happy that my mother was proud of me and that my father liked to buy me pretty dresses. I knew what I wanted out of life, and there didn't seem to be any way that I wouldn't get exactly what I wanted. I wanted to be loved, to be adored. I wanted to have a huge flowery wedding where everyone in town would watch me walk down the aisle on my father's arm and think I was the most beautiful thing they'd ever seen. Admiration was like air to me, Bella. I was silly and shallow, but I was content. My parents' influence had been such that I also wanted